Robert E. Lee surrendering at Appomattox, it's one of the most iconic moments in American history. We all know the image, the story, or do we? What if the history books and monuments left out a crucial figure? What if the man standing beside Lee in that room, James Longstreet, held secrets and played a role that changes everything we thought we knew? This isn't just forgotten history. This is what history doesn't want you to know about Lee's surrender and the man they tried to erase. Let's uncover the truth. Before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. History remembers Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox as Grant's magnanimous triumph. This wasn't just the Confederacy's end, it was the death of a brotherhood. But why did Lee call Longstreet his old war horse in their final heartbreaking farewell? And why did soldiers cheer for a surrender they vowed to ignore? Why has history buried Longstreet's role in the South's last gasp? The answers lie in a dusty apple orchard, a captured supply train, and a general who chose loyalty over legacy. The Army of Northern Virginia retreated from Richmond. As they often did, Lee and Longstreet rode together, with Lee regularly seeking Longstreet's perspective. The hosts spoke with unshaken confidence about victory. Longstreet stayed quiet. By April 4th, they crossed the Appomattox River and arrived at Amelia Courthouse, anticipating stockpiled supplies. Instead, they found nothing. The costly delay. Lee ordered Longstreet to position Charles Field's and Cadmus Wilcox's divisions to guard the supply wagons during the search for food. Scouting parties dispersed across the countryside to gather whatever remained. This foraging delay cost them a crucial day. The lost time proved disastrous. It allowed Grant's Union forces to close in via parallel routes. Union troops cut off Lee's path to Jetersville, forcing Longstreet's advance units to turn north toward Farmville. Longstreet's defiance. Lee grew increasingly agitated as they waited through April 6th with no word from Richard Ewell's reinforcements. News finally arrived. Ewell was captured. Longstreet organized his battle-tested men into defensive lines at Rice's Station, waiting for reinforcements that wouldn't come. Even as the Army of Northern Virginia dissolved, Longstreet ordered a final battle line, a defiant last stand that never came. The unyielding old war horse. But what about the man who stood in the shadows, refusing to yield? James Longstreet, Lee's most trusted general, didn't just reject surrender. He defied it. Officers begged to raise the white flag. Longstreet silenced them. When Custer arrived demanding surrender, Longstreet snapped at his arrogance. "I'd never surrender to you." Lee's legendary cry, "I would rather die 1,000 deaths," was born from Longstreet's stubborn resolve. During a roadside pause to rest and eat, Lee shared a meal with a family alongside Longstreet. Lee turned to him and said, "Whatever happens, know this, that no man ever fought better than those who have stood by me." He then called Longstreet his old war horse. And when Grant himself joked about their pre-war card games during the surrender meeting, Longstreet stood silent. He stood silent because he knew the truth of a commander who guarded supply wagons with dwindling hope, whose delays sealed their fate, yet whose unwavering loyalty and fighting spirit defined the Confederacy's final, desperate hours. This is the story you've never heard: the collapse at Sailor's Creek and path to surrender. Disaster at Sailor's Creek, April 6, 1865. During the retreat from Petersburg, Richard Ewell's corps was ambushed by Union forces at Sailor's Creek. A critical gap opened between James Longstreet's vanguard and the rest of the Army of Northern Virginia, allowing Philip Sheridan's cavalry to isolate and crush Ewell's and Richard Anderson's units. Robert E. Lee, observing the rout from a ridge with William Mahone, exclaimed, "My God, has the army dissolved?" The battle cost Lee nearly 8,000 men, a quarter of his remaining force, including captured generals Ewell, Joseph Kershaw, and Lee's son, Custis Lee. Desperate march to Appomattox. Lee aimed to resupply at Appomattox Station on April 8th, but George Custer's cavalry captured 3 supply trains sent from Lynchburg. With Union infantry closing in, Ulysses S. Grant sent Lee a surrender demand. The results of the last week must convince you of the hopelessness of further resistance. Lee dismissed the letter, replying, "Not yet," still hoping to reach Lynchburg. Longstreet's defiance and Lee's exhaustion. That night, Custer rode under a truce flag to Longstreet's lines, demanding the unconditional surrender of this army. Longstreet refused, snapping, "I am not the commander. If I were, I'd never surrender to Sheridan." Earlier, amid the retreat, Lee had slumped against a tree in such rigid exhaustion that Longstreet feared he had died. The commander found no rest, though nature begged for it. Final stand at Appomattox Courthouse, April 9th. Lee ordered John B. Gordon to attack Union cavalry at dawn, believing only horsemen blocked his escape. Gordon initially pushed back the cavalry, but Union infantry reinforcements rose from concealed positions, sealing Lee's fate. Informed of the crisis, Lee muttered, "Then there is nothing left for me to do but go and see General Grant, and I would rather die 1,000 deaths." The surrender. Lee drafted surrender terms without consulting subordinates and sent them to Grant via courier. He agreed to meet at Wilmer McLean's house the next morning. Longstreet, whom Lee called "my old war horse," ordered Porter Alexander to form a final battle line, but later conceded the fight was over. At the surrender meeting, Longstreet remained silent as Grant and Lee discussed terms, knowing the truth. Supplies were gone, escape routes severed, and the army fought to a frazzle. The surrender and farewell. Shadows at Appomattox. April 9th to 12th, 1865. The unraveling. After Lee signed the surrender terms at Wilmer McLean's house, Union and Confederate officers gathered outside. Grant approached Longstreet, clasped his hands, and offered a cigar. "Pete, let us have another game of brag to recall the old days, which were so pleasant to us all." Longstreet remained silent. The jest, a reference to pre-war card games, landed like a funeral dirge on the man who, just days earlier, had defied Custer's surrender demand with "I'd never surrender" to Sheridan. Lee's final command. As Lee prepared to depart for Richmond on April 11th, he embraced Longstreet warmly near a small apple orchard. With Union officers nearby, Lee turned to Captain Tom Gorey. "Captain, I am going to put my old war horse under your charge. I want you to take good care of him." He then whispered to Longstreet their final words as commander and lieutenant. "General, if he does not give us good terms, come back and let us fight it out." Lee rode away without looking back. He never saw Longstreet again. The weight of parole. Longstreet oversaw the parole process at Appomattox Courthouse, distributing certificates to 28,000 Confederate soldiers. Men cheered Lee but vowed to keep fighting, whispers of "not yet," lingering amid inevitability. As Longstreet rode west toward Texas, he carried more than parole papers. The burden of unanswered questions. Why did Lee entrust his war horse to a junior captain? Why did Grant joke about card games while Longstreet mourned a brotherhood's death? Why would history reduce Longstreet to a footnote, blaming him for Gettysburg while erasing his Appomattox defiance? The reckoning. Longstreet's final battle line, ordered but never fought, was never meant to hold back Grant. It was a message. The South's backbone didn't break. It bent under starving men and a general who chose mercy over myth. History remembers Lee's surrender as Grant's triumph, but Longstreet's story began America's reckoning with loyalty, legacy, and why we remember heroes as marble statues, not shattered men. The monuments crack. When they decapitated his New Orleans statue in 1956, they proved his victory. You don't decapitate ghosts. You behead men still winning battles from the grave. So, did he believe Texas could reset 27 years? Number. He believed Texas was his Rice's station, the high ground to rally truth against the lies already advancing. Drop your take below. Was he a traitor? A prophet? The last Confederate standing? The crack widens.